it's coming this way.
A helicopter.
It's flying something behind it. I can't quite make it out. It's a large banner, and it says, Happy Thanksgiving. From W. What a sight, ladies and gentlemen, what a sight. The copter seems to be circling the parking area now. I guess it's looking for a place to land. No, something just came out of the back of the helicopter. It's a dark object, perhaps a skydiver, plummeting to the earth from only 2,000 feet into the air. Second to the third. There's no parachutes yet.
Those can't be skydivers. I can't tell just yet what they are, but... Oh, my God, they're turkeys! Oh, Johnny, can you get this? Oh, they're crashing to the earth right in front of our eyes! One just went through the windshield of a parked car! Johnny, this is terrible. The brothers running around, pushing each other? Oh, my goodness! Oh, the humanity! Oh, people are running about. The turkeys are hitting the ground like sacks of wet cement.
Can you cue the music again? You do the opening line.
I swear to God, I thought turkeys could fly. That's your cue. Larry.
Mm?
Yeah, that's your cue.
Oh. Welcome to recording.
you are really in that turkey coma still, aren't you?
we had a little boomer moment there. Welcome to Recording in Progress, where we're pausing the progress to get a little bit of recording in. I wanted to share one of my Thanksgiving traditions with everybody of rewatching the classic WKRP Turkey Drop episode. Because, I mean, that's just one of the great moments in the 70s and 80s television. Right there. Swear to God. Thought turkeys could fly. Did you enjoy WKRP in Cincinnati?
I never watched that. It was never a show that I watched. I don't even think I don't even think they played it on Nick at Night.
Oh, they did. They did, actually.
Okay, so
and
maybe
you have Venus Flytrap, the sexy black overnight guy, Dr. Johnny Fever.
Mm-hmm.
They actually briefly had a Rush Limbaugh stand-in character when the radio station was trying to get hip and with it and get into talk radio.
Oh boy,
it's a good thing from a simpler time when people understood how things worked.
Yeah.
We sit in the world where we're watching things and we don't know how they work.
Back when NPCs used to say "Fat Man Pad," and
Exactly.
They were talking about Rush Limbaugh. I think there was actually a book called "Rush Limbaugh is a Big Fat Idiot."
That is correct. That's by
Al
former
Franken.
United States Senator Al Franken.
Yeah, disgraced former senator.
Yeah.
That's important to point
So,
out.
speaking of disgraces, we're going to talk about one of the disgraces of the internet, Tumblr. Now, Tumblr has been well known for ruining the internet, for coming up with horrible memes, being, a giant breeding pool for terrible fandoms, like the Hulak fandom.
And
Are you familiar with the Hulak fandom?
no,
So you get Doctor Who fans and Sherlock fans and Supernatural fans imagining all three shows happening in the same universe and being super into their fan fiction.
kill me.
Also on Tumblr, you had Steven Universe's creators being assaulted by their own fans because she said, hey, maybe you shouldn't tell that girl to kill herself because you don't agree with her fan fiction choices. That's kind of fucked up.
What I remember, I thought when I first saw Tumblr, I was like, okay, this is really interesting. It's kind of like a cross between blogging and Twitter. It's like basically micro blogging, but for long blogs. Macro blogging, right? Yes. And I was like,
Microsoft blogging.
Yeah, and I was like, this is kind of interesting. And right after I said this looks interesting, it just devolved into like this huge orgy of just oppression culture where everybody just was trying to outdo each other in terms of oppression.
Well, what's funny, you mentioned orgies because apparently Tumblr became a very big space for porn on the internet.
Right. And that's probably where my use for it ended. Was like, all right, I'm not even going to bother with it. I deleted my account, and the only time I ever went on there was just be like, okay, there's porn on here. There's decent porn on here. Why not? But then again, you got like Pornhub, so what's the point?
Somebody decided to get some indecent pornography on Tumblr, however.
Yeah, well, because no one's watching now.
Yeah, so we're going to go to video again.
Oh, yep. Yes. Are you playing something? Or
I am.
Okay. I guess I have to refresh then, because it's already shitting out, I guess.
Do you need me to start back from the beginning?
Yep.
Okay.
You were a clock that was ticking in my home. Changed my state of mind.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Love so hard to find.
we got him.
Okay, so there is absolutely no fucking way to approach the subject of this video and not be blunt as shit about it. So let's just go ahead and rip that band-aid right the fuck off right now and just get straight to it. As we all know, the internet is the fucking holy land when it comes to pornography, okay? And there's one place that's actually
Internet is for porn.
really good for it, ironically, and it's Tumblr. And now, about 2 days ago, I noticed a little something strange going on. A lot of the pages that I was going to were no longer there. They just dis-a-fucking-peared. You get that stupid little error message that says, unless you were looking for the error page, in which case you found it, that you typically see when an account has been taken down or suspended or removed. You get my fucking point. And, well, yesterday, it turns out that Tumblr was removed from the App Store because somebody was spreading child pornography on Tumblr.
Oof.
Yeah.
Tumblr, why don't you have a seat here?
Yeah, I know. Big fucking surprise, right? But the only people who were actually surprised by this were the people at fucking Tumblr. And they went ahead and ended up getting their fucking app removed from Apple's App Store over this whole situation. It'll probably be put back, in all honesty. And last I checked, just before starting a recording on this video, Tumblr was still up on the Google Play Store. So it's not like a complete fucking down and out, unfucking fortunately. But either way, back to the topic at hand. So apparently what happened, all right, is there is this kind of database where they collect pictures of let's just say child abuse right now, and some images were not added into that database. It's a system that's very slow to update. Kind of the same problem that we see with the NICS program that handles all the firearm background checks in the country. Very slow to update, doesn't do its job very well. Could definitely be improved in my opinion. But you get the point, all right? Something
By the way, Tumblr is still
through
up,
the cracks and all.
What was that?
Tumblr is still up on Google. I just checked.
Yeah.
So
All of a sudden, there's kiddie porn getting distributed on Tumblr more than there was before. Let's be completely honest. There's always been a lot of stuff. We're not going to go into that. Let's just say some people take the lolly thing a little far on Tumblr. There's some.
Look, it's just her body's age. She's actually 8,000 years old, so it's fine. It's actually a problem she's with me. But, yeah, so Tumblr is every not safe for work account got nuked all at once.
Jeez.
And people reapplied with the not safe for work accounts, and basically it's like, okay, let's review what you have here. Nothing in the child porn database, so you're good. Nothing in the child porn database, so you're good. Okay, sir, we have a special van pulling up. You need to enter into that van to help get your Tumblr page restored. Party van time, everybody.
Yeah. There's going to be a great party inside that van.
How is it you're in a situation where you're Tumblr and you can't run, keeping child porn off your website?
Well, I'm sure there's probably some Tumblristas still hanging out in there somewhere going like, this really offends me. There's people who can't control the fact that they're pedophiles, and how dare they oppress us.
Well, yes, that's actually that is actually a hallmark of the communities where this has been a thing.
Oh,
but
I was joking.
No, I'm serious. That there are pages on Tumblr which some of them happen to be down for some reason. Wink, wink. We're saying, pedophilia is no different than homosexuality. It's not a choice. You're just born that way.
To an extent, I sort of agree with that. I don't think what you like is subject to your will. But child abuse is something that you can do something about. That's where
you can realize that everybody considers sex with underage children bad.
Yeah, it's completely disgusting.
Not a thing that you should be doing ever.
And there's no good that possibly comes out of it for any of the children involved, and it's awful and terrible. And if you're stuck with that preference, well, you got two choices. You could try to learn how to like other things, or put a bullet in your head. I think that's the only two choices there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this whole thing with Tumblr, we keep getting this problem with big tech companies. They keep trying to depend on other people to report things, which doesn't work, because those people are completely and totally biased. They keep trying to have algorithms catch things, and that doesn't work. The solution for these big multi-billion-dollar tech firms
is it a final one?
It is, in fact, a final solution that they should try. It's called hiring employees.
But Yahoo is poor.
Yahoo's new owners are Verizon, though, so Yahoo's not poor.
Yeah, I think they're pretty much running on a shoestring budget right now, considering.
Well, the actual merger hasn't finished because there's been some legal issues from all of the hacks that were done by the Chinese of Yahoo. Like, for example, if you have a Yahoo email account, congratulations, the Chinese have access to it.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So, speaking of fascist police states and people not knowing how to do their job, so IDW Comics, a failure of a comic book company, has decided they're going to do a Judge Dredd comic book series, and they're wanting to be topical and talk about political issues, including issues of the border and immigration. Mm-hmm. So, you've watched the Judge Dredd movies. You watched the really bad Sylvester Stallone one. Yeah, and you watched the remake that was good.
I would say it was more than good. It was probably one of my favorite kind of popcorn munching movie for sure.
Yeah. So Jim, what's your take on how Judge Dredd should be used topically to talk about immigration? Because he's an aggressive, authoritarian, fascist police force man.
Mm-hmm.
How would you, if you were writing a comic book about Judge Dredd and wanting to talk about immigration, how would you do it?
Well, first of all, it's now here's something that I should preface. I don't read comics. I've never read Judge Dredd, but just based on what I've seen of the movies and what I've heard murmurs about, is that it's a satirical thing and it's kind of taking a jab at the idea of having a police state. It's supposed to be critical of that.
Yeah, but as you can see there in the bottom left-hand corner there, Orange Man has somehow survived into a post-apocalyptic future because we can't stop having Orange Man be bad.
Which reminds me, there was some show prep I should have presented to you earlier regarding Orange Man bad being in popular media right now. But yeah, correct.
Okay. So
I'll make a note of it.
So Judge Dredd is trying to stop these protesters wanting to keep the illegal aliens out of the city. But Orange Man says, I got my protest permits, Judge. But, Judge Dredd comes from Mega City 1. It has a wall entirely around it, and deserts with super mutants outside of it, and mutants, and various criminal underlings. So shouldn't we have done, I don't know, Judge Dredd on the wall shooting people at the border? Isn't that the way you want to do that joke? Oh wait, we can't do that though, because Judge Dredd is the face of the franchise. And we can't show the face of the franchise doing something, despicable and being supportive of Orange Man.
But Judge Dredd is not supposed to be. He's supposed to be a bit of an anti-hero, though. Sort of.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah, like his villain is Judge Death, who believes that who's from an alternate reality and he's Death, who believes that he should kill off everybody on the planet because that's the only way to achieve true justice. So I'm just saying, we need to do a Judge Dredd story that makes sense for that. Like, I mean, you could even have Orange Man be one of the judges. And, like, he'd be a little bit too crazy even for Judge Dredd. I mean, if you're wanting to make satire about Donald Trump...
Yeah, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, you're doing it wrong. And, like, we have different politics than you left-wing people, but this is wrong. We could do your job better than you coming up with the politics of Orange Man bad.
But to be fair, I do have experience writing satire, so...
Mm-hmm. So you said you had some other examples of Orange Man being bad in popular culture?
Which I thought was good, except for that one little part where they started getting into Orange Man bad. I don't know how familiar you are with Tenacious D.
I am familiar with them. They're a comedian band thing.
Yeah. So they came out with a new album called Post Apocalypto. I'm going to pull up an image so that way there's some... here we go. There's the album cover. It's a Post Apocalypto. It's their brand new album, which is kind of also coinciding with their movie that they animated. And there's scare quotes going up between movie and animated. A lot of it's kind of like MS Paint drawings that they to just throw it up, and it's kind of like slides. Some of the slides zoom in, some of the slides zoom out. But there's no actual instances of like actual animation, if I recall correctly. I think there might have been like some things here and there that were like that moved around, like pictures that moved around, but for the most part it was just still image kind of things.
So basically it's about as animated as Strong Bad.
It was almost more like a video version of. It's almost like reading Rainbow. There we go, where you just zoom in on the illustrations type of thing.
So you're saying we're taking a look? It's in a book.
Yeah.
Orange Man bad.
Orange Man bad. But basically, the plot of the thing is Jack Black, Jables, and Kyle Gass can't pay rent, so they had this brilliant idea to jump over a pool of sharks, to earn a little bit of money, and they do it successfully. And after they do so, a plane drops an atomic bomb, and they survive by hopping into a refrigerator. And then when they come out into a post-apocalyptic universe, and you can kind of see where this is going.
Yeah.
And there's lots of sex that happens. It's very not for safe work. Lots of explicit drawings of sex and penises flying around.
So,
it's kind of interesting.
Would it be something that Tumblr could post now or like post before?
Yeah, probably before and after. It's very, very crude drawings. I don't know if you can tell by the album artwork. That's the kind of, you're not going to get too much detail on the penises. And it's basically kind of them wandering through the desert. And spoiler, it was all a dream. But there was a segment in there where they go to find out. They have to go to Washington D.C., but they had to be real careful because. On the way to Washington, D.C., and the White House is being protected by actual Nazis and the KKK. And do you want to guess who might have been in charge when the bombs dropped?
Is he orange?
He was orange indeed.
Did he have a weird comb over?
Yes. And if I recall correctly, he was actually in the airplane dropping the bomb. Now, he wasn't president at the time. Donald Trump Jr. was president, but they had to get like this kind of orb that gives all this power to one particular person. But there were some interesting other things that were happening after that, because that was only probably maybe like a 1-song segment or 2-song segment that was going on with that. The rest of it was them going to like return the orb and going into like a Indiana Jones type of thing. But there was a good like 10 minutes thing where it was clear. Orange man bad, orange man Nazi, orange man KKK explicitly, and it was kind of like it didn't click for me. I was kind of like, okay, maybe they're doing something with the KKK or the Nazis. Maybe it doesn't have to be, or no, it is Trump after all, Trump Nazi.
And how are people going to enjoy this in 10 years, or exactly. 12 when Donald Trump Jr. is actually president?
And there's a lot of, I mean, even though I may disagree with, there's a lot of interesting kind of media that was happening around the time George Bush was president that was explicitly about George Bush.
But it all looks cringy as hell right now.
No. I wouldn't say it looks all cringy, unless it's the ones that are saying like, oh, Bush is Hitler. And yeah, that stuff looks cringy.
Well, what ones are you saying aren't cringy?
So No Effects came out with an album. Speaking of music, this music and film are kind of but music is more my forte than film is.
Yeah.
But No Effects had an album called The War on Errorism. I'll pull that title up actually. There it is. Yeah, it's someone actually made a Trump one. They put Trump's face on the fucking album cover. Of course. That album still holds up. I don't agree with any of the politics that they present in it, but it wasn't.
Oh,
Trump
yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that. I remember that now.
I still contend it's their best album.
Hey, I wouldn't go that far, but it was a solid album. Okay, I could get behind some of that then.
Yeah, I don't know. There's some Punk and Drublick and White Trash, Two Heaps and a Bean are really good albums, but I think this one just a bit better, just a little bit better.
But yeah, that's the thing. Whenever I see things like Ronald Reagan being featured as a villain in a comic book or a movie, I'm thinking, really? Well, why are you doing this? You're going to embarrass yourself.
Unless
like silly. at least when like silly, yeah, like when Ronald Reagan was being impersonated by Superman to stop terrorists, and like terrorists broke into the White House and shot up Reagan, and he like the bullets bounced off of him, and he punched the terrorists around. That was fun. That was enjoyable.
Okay.
So, if we want to talk about comic books in the past, though, boy, do I have some video footage for you.
Disturbing shit on that website, and I don't.
A little bit of Chris Hansen snuck in there.
Hey there. So today I want to talk about something that I find rather intriguing.
Chris Hansen
and
always has a
also
tendency to sneak in.
when it manifests like I'm going to showcase, and that is the modern comic book industry looking back at its legacy and judging the past with this future current lens. If you think about it, this is a problem with a lot of things within society now. You have people that are culturally judging the past with present expectations. I've seen this within specific discussions when you're talking about certain characters. I saw Marvel actually hit on this, for example, with the Mandarin. Tom Brevoort was actually talking about it, and I actually did a video on this too, where he was discussing whether or not the Mandarin could actually come back and become a viable character.
The answer to that question is yes. So you don't know comic books, so let me do the brief thing about the Mandarin. He's, a rich, successful, elite Chinese guy who comes from an old Mongol family who's like, a descendant of the Khans, and he gets lost in the desert, and he finds alien technology and uses it to make superpower weapons. And tries to take over China.
Okay.
So is that character...
He was also in Iron Man 2?
Sorta, kinda.
Yeah, not really.
I heard
Yeah, I heard they're going to try to redo him, try it again with an actual Mandarin.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
Yeah.
There's the whole Yellow Peril thing about, a guy taking over, but he's not a comically racist character. He's a guy who, he's basically an Asiatic Doctor Doom, who actually at one point in time did control a third of the China in the Marvel Universe. So the fact that, the NPCs running Marvel Comics can't say, hey, here's why this character can come back, it shows a problem.
Now, the person that was asking about that, they seem to revere the character. But
by the way,
Tom
we can't say
Brevoort
NPCs anymore,
he
remember?
seemed to not reverence,
right.
but to
Minecraft
rather
mobs.
revile the character.
Minecraft mobs.
Why? Because the character is based on a racist stereotype. That's what he said. Now, I heard a few people talk about that being an issue more with writers and reimagining than the character itself. But still, Marvel, they don't want to bring that set piece up. In fact, I think that's why we saw the Iron Man movie and the way that it was showcased. If you look at a lot of the discussion about the movie before, when people found out the Mandarin would be there, and then afterwards, a lot of the people that would judge, again, an old mainstay character, with new sensibilities, yeah, they were applauding that. And a lot of people that actually enjoyed the character, yeah, they weren't happy about it. Well, DC, they've had their set of issues currently as well. If you look at Batman Damned and all of the stuff over the new Black label, they have had quite a few.
Yeah, so they launched a comic line to be super adult, and in it they showed Batman's penis. And
in the original
DC,
cartoon?
No, in this new comic book line.
Okay.
That was specifically to be adult-only comic book line. But now DC Comics is saying, well, we really still need to make it open for the kids. Well, then why did you let the artist show Batman's penis? Well, it's called editing.
Problems. A lot of people know about that with the full frontal nudity with Batman, but a lot of people don't understand just how damaging that was. DC Comics went into full lockdown afterwards. They went into the damage control because they were afraid that it damaged intellectual property. They have gone from saying that people have full artist control over something, that they can go out and have complete autonomy, to them having to reevaluate what all of this stands for. You've seen some retroactive changes, but you're also seeing proactive changes within that as well. Now, additionally, I think that DC is afraid that the past might actually line up with some of these characters too, and you might actually see judgments that are predicated on the past added to future, present, and on. You can see that with the cancellation of DC Comics Before Batman Volume 1 and 2 hardcover slip edition here. I mean, that is a beautiful thing. I was really looking forward to this. This is based in 1937 and moving forward. Can you imagine judging the 1937 product by today's standards? And yet, there we are. Additionally, Shazam, the Monster Society Evil, was canceled, despite the fact that these things have already been published and collected. This shot that I'm showing you, by the way, is from Bleeding Fool, not Bleeding Cool. Bleeding Fool is actually a place that I would recommend that you go check out. And while DC hasn't really...
So, this is where we're getting at. We're getting into a space where creatives and publishers are saying, well, you know, we need to have artistic freedom, but not to express problematic ideas. And comic books are the easiest place for this rot to set in. And old comic books being reprinted from the 30s, I would consider buying that. I mean, having that just because you want to have that little bit of cultural history and legacy on a bookshelf.
I don't even read comics, but I would want something like that, just so I can go back and read like the first Supermans and Batmans. They were in Detective Comics, right? The first issues, the first appearances.
Detective Comics was Batman. Action Comics was Superman. Wonder Woman, I think, was under Detective Comics label. I don't know the comic book business history that particularly well, but that's a problem we're seeing where it's Orwellian. Mm-hmm. These people are trying to control the world through speech.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. There's some things about. Okay, so here the reverse argument, which I've heard and I sort of agree with, is the idea that maybe Disney should not reissue Song of the South, which I can sort of see because people are going to pick that up and bring it home to their kids, and they're going to be showing that to their kids, and there's some pretty wildly kind of stuff in there that can't be brushed away as, oh, that's just innocent. They didn't know back then. It was a different time. There was some stuff in there that was clearly like, oh, okay, this is not cool. Yeah. But at the same time, I don't think it should be. I think Disney takes it a bit too far. I think the movie should be available to film students who want to view it or something like that, or have it available but have like maybe a big warning sticker on it.
Or how about, this is, controversial content. If you want to be, an adult and view it and enjoy it, go do that.
Yeah, this is parental advisory. There's material in here that's not suited for children. They may take the Disney label off of it. Something like that.
Yeah.
And that would have been a good compromise. I think Detective Comics could release this thing and just say, "Warning: there's some outdated humor that's in here."
Yeah,
wartime propaganda.
Yeah, exactly. Some Japs may get slapped. Yeah. I mean, if you people are totally into punching Nazis, you might like slapping a Jap or two. Yeah. But just remember, they're a different race than you, so you have to feel bad about it afterwards.
Well, yeah. Well, back in the day, I mean, the Japanese were pretty fucking awful.
Yeah, yeah.
Not the Japanese people, but the Japanese.
The Japanese fascists were really bad.
Yeah.
But this control over language and thought is not just limited to the past. However, we're gonna revisit our good friend Mr. Chuck Wendig.
He's still a thing?
He is, in fact, still a thing.
Are you playing the video? Because it's not.
I am.
Okay, let me give that a good refresher-rooney. Okay, try again.
I'll try again?
Yeah. They don't alter it any further.
I gotta say, Ethan does have a pretty dope video opening song.
Hey, it's comic artist
Dr. Dre, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, do you think Ethan's actually paying Dre?
I think the song is short enough that it's not being picked up. I think that's how it works. You got a good 10 seconds.
25-year veteran of the comic book industry, illustrator of future Canadian Prime Minister Dr. Jordan B. Peterson's 12 Rules to Life, creator of Cyberfrog, the biggest crowdfunded comic book of all time, world's most charming man, great big Star Wars fan. By the way, this is Bleeding Cool. one of the worst. Listen, there are a lot of garbage tier pop culture websites out there. This one's actually malevolent. This one actually means to be evil. It means to misreport things. It is entirely disingenuous. Its entire purpose, especially when this gentleman is writing, its entire purpose is to gaslight its readers and to sort of confirm a bias that they already have. It's never to report the news accurately. It's sort of to, annoy people who disagree with them in the way that they report the news. And protect the people who do agree with them. So Marvel Comics cancels all of Star Wars Shadow of Vader by Chuck Wendig. Chuck Wendig. All right, so let's read this. Before we get into, I've already done videos about this. Chuck Wendig has complained about how much I talk about this, but this is news. This is Star Wars news. It is pop culture news. It is culture war news. And it does need to be discussed. And I have nothing against Chuck Wendig at all. It's just that, this is interesting stuff. All right, so we mentioned last month that Star Wars Shadow of Vader had not been solicited in Marvel solicitations for January. Chuck Wendig had already been fired from the comic after writing the first 3 issues for reasons, look at this right here, for reasons that no one seems to have made any sense of, not even other Marvel Star Wars writers. Okay, so that is, look at this right here. Can you believe this? Close ad. This constant, bombarded with ads and all kinds of viruses and stuff. Don't go to this website. It's bad news. Okay, so here's why Chuck Wendig was fired. It's very clear. Chuck Wendig was fired for a string of, the final straw was a string of incredibly vulgar, insulting, divisive tweets regarding Justice Kavanaugh's appointment. They crossed the line. And really, I'm not going to show them again because they're so vulgar, but I do have them on another video if you care to see them. I think I did 2 videos about Chuck Wendig when this whole event happened. These tweets really crossed the line. He had a history of doing this, of course, but I think the fact included an offer for people who disagreed with him to eat a boot covered in feces. Now, I'm not sure if they were human feces or animal feces, perhaps dog feces. I don't really know, but it was a step too far, and Marvel had to step in and say, okay, we have to remove you from this project. We have to. No offense. I'm sure they like Chuck Wendig. I'm sure Chuck Wendig is a likable guy, but he does have a potty mouth. We've established that. I established it in another video that he's well aware of his tweeting problem, of his social media addiction and the abuse that follows his social media. The fact that he antagonizes the fans constantly every single day. It came to a head, and Marvel, Lucasfilm, Disney had to let him go. So that is why people have made sense of it. Marvel Star Wars writers, other writers, Stephen King's son, Joe Hill, actually came out in support of Chuck Wendig. The man had friends. The man had friends who agree, or at least allies. He definitely had allies. I don't know. There's a thing. People say that SJWs don't have friends. They just have allies. For now, until it's time to turn on. Look at Chelsea Kane, for example. She had allies until it was time to turn on her, and then they turned on her and consumed her. And Chuck Wendig hasn't gotten there yet, but he may. All right, so here's Charles Soule, who is a DC Comics writer. I guess he works for Marvel as well. I think he writes Star Wars over at Marvel. I know Charles from writing Batman stuff over at DC. He's a nice guy. He says, hey, Chuck Wendig, you're delightful, a great writer, and I hope today is better than yesterday. This whole thing puts me in mind of the second thing Obi-Wan says to Vader during their fight in A New Hope, which you obviously will know without looking it up. And if it doesn't have the F word in it, Chuck Wendig doesn't know. One real reason to do that. The reason to do that is to invite harassment from...
Love Ethan's content, but he takes a while to get to the point. But that's part of what makes his delivery so delightful. Yes.
The tweets and let them decide for themselves. Because this really is, when you're talking about a situation like this, you're talking about whether or not people are going to purchase a product associated with a company, and that really does have a lot to do with how they feel. And so people having a visceral reaction to what Chuck Wendig was tweeting and what James Gunn was tweeting, that is reason enough. It's reason enough. How they feel reading those tweets, how they feel reading those jokes. It's reason enough to show people, to let them see, to let them make up their minds for themselves. Clearly, Marvel and Disney did make up their minds in both cases. Yeah, sure enough, he didn't. Well, I mean, what is this here? Is that a link to? Oh, all right. So that's a link back to another article. We don't need to read that. Look how dirty my screen is. I think Ava, my daughter, got a hold of it and started playing with the... I put all these video games on here for her. All right, anyway, moving forward. But would Marvel publish his first 3 issues and then drop him for another writer? It seems not. There's no way. Retailers have been told that the first 3 issues are being scrapped and will not be published or resolicited. And that is because when Chuck Wendig was fired for Just Cause, he made such a noise on Twitter. He made such a kerfuffle. He made it a cause celeb. He was the source of outrage that other people on Twitter, on social media, announced that anyone who took over those books would be a scab, should be considered a scab.
So they're forming a random union of creatives who are all independent contractors to take illegal striking tactics against Marvel Comics, and Marvel Comics said, "Okay, yeah, sure." This is all about, thought control and publishing control, and so these people said, "Listen, they'll make it hell for anybody who tries to take over these books for Chuck Wendig." And honestly, having somebody come up with a vision for a series and then get fired, replacing them is probably a problem anyway from a business standpoint. But that's part of this thread we keep seeing throughout pop culture of these sorts of Minecraft mobs. They have to have absolute control of things. Yeah. But now you see, Chuck Wendig is a good writer who actually could have done good Star Wars work with a good editor. But there's another front in this battle. It's your boy Zach.
Hi everyone, it's your boy Zach over here, and this is going to be an interesting short video. So need your help, especially long-term fans and viewers, because the channel is 100% under attack right now. So what happened is, I believe yesterday or the day before, Kwanzaa Osajyefo put a copyright strike against a video I did for, what was it? Black AF Devils Die #1. I did some research into it. Basically, I said, okay, that's fair enough, because I made a mistake. The book hadn't come out yet. I actually found that out after I uploaded it. So I didn't show the entire book. I actually edited it out about 4 minutes of the video. But I said, you know what? No harm, no foul. I'm just gonna take that hit. The copyright strike go away in 3 months. But the big danger is that 3 of them gets your channel down. Now, these things don't exist in a vacuum, and obviously Kwanzaa is in the group with Mags and all of those Twitter people who spend up to 18 hours a day obsessively stalking me. These are the same people. We know who all they are. They all collude and they all share coordination. So as soon as Kwanzaa got that.
So, first thing, before we go into more details, talking about people stalking him for 18 hours a day, including and coordinating with each other, doesn't that sound like something that maybe in his future testimony in his lawsuit against Mark Waid? That was one of the first things I had here. Is that may be a sneak preview of what we're going to hear in his future deposition.
Yeah. By the way, I had a little bit of a boomer moment.
What's next? He's gonna.
Yeah. So when I was having my first little interaction with you after that video, my mic was muted because I was typing on stuff earlier and I forgot to unmute it. So,
okay.
Oof. Yes, but basically what I said was, I've had people who are really into like Star Wars and really go out of their way to avoid things that are SJW or anti-SJW. And I think it's all silly.
That came through. I thought I heard that.
Well, you heard it, but it didn't go out on the stream. That's the issue.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, like I was saying, like even once they heard the news that Chuck Wendig was gone, they were like, "Good," because those books were terrible and what he was tweeting was terrible, and I know they had sympathies towards what he was tweeting, but even still, they were like, what he was saying was terrible. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, let me
Tell them it's successful, and then
it's not exactly representative,
they're all
but
going to search for every video I've ever done. So I've got some serious stalkers, like absolutely obsessive, psychotic, fixated. I mean, these people are 12 to 18 hours a day going through videos from a year ago. So what I did is, so the deal is copyright is obviously everyone who makes something has a copyright. You got Marvel and DC. They've got copyrights, but this is specifically indie creators, guys like Mags, people like, or excuse me, don't freak out, everyone. I meant to say guys like Kwanzaa, people like Mags, a few others. So basically, yesterday I said, I know what it is. These people are very, very predictable. As usual, they don't use things for what they are. Copyright is to protect your property from being stolen. It's to protect your ideas from being stolen. It's not a way to protect yourself from criticism or parody. So I absolutely believe these are malicious, and these people are very, very predictable. So what I did is I didn't have many videos up left by these people. But I went and took them down. And then one of those psychos who spends 12 to 18 hours a day found a comic book hangout from a year ago, a freaking year ago. And Mags put a copyright claim against that. Now.
So, Jim, you've had false copyright claims and false DMCA claims happen against you. Can you share with the rest of the class who's going to be watching this video probably after we broadcast it what that's all like?
All right, so there's a lot of things that people have big misunderstandings when it comes to the DMCA and copyright infringement and copyright in general. Copyright is one of a few of different types of intellectual property protections. This particular one doesn't cover things like trademarks or trade secrets or patents. What these cover is specifically things that are media, any kind of media, written form, video, audio, things that you create. Anything that you create is immediately copyrighted. If you take a piece of paper, fold it in half, write on the title, something, a title by your name, and then write like, "Hi, how are you doing?" The end. That is copyrighted by you. If anyone duplicates it, you could sue them for copyright infringement.
Well, that would be kind of hard to do.
Yeah, that would be really hard to do because they would have to know exactly what you're writing in your little piece of paper, right? But that's how copyright works. Now, what you can do is you can submit things into the open and make it Creative Commons or Creative Commons Zero or public domain. There's different options you can go to, but it's a whole different thing. So the DMCA was a law that was actually good. As good as your copyright could possibly be, if you're going to have a system like copyright, you're going to have something like the DMCA exist for the internet to exist at all. The DMCA had, I think, 5 different provisions, but the two that are in question here when you're talking about the DMCA with YouTube is Title II. Now, this was a law that was passed by Bill Clinton in 1998. And Title II basically is the Online Copyright Infringement Liability Limitation Act. And what it basically does is it sets a standard that says that if you're an internet service provider and that includes not just your internet service provider that you get for your cable internet or DSL or dial-up or whatever, but it also includes people who are providing internet services across internet lines. So if you go to a website like YouTube, or if you go to like a WordPress blog or your own host or whatever, and you allow people to come onto your service and upload content to your thing, what it basically does is it says, you have a safe harbor provision, which means that you are not responsible for the things that other people upload to your site. There's different versions of this law for things like illegal content or whatever, but this one is specifically talking about intellectual property. So it's kind of like a copy and paste from other laws as well. So if someone uploads child pornography onto your thing, you by law, if you're aware of it, you have to immediately delete it, and you'll be pretty much safe.
Kind of like the porn on Tumblr,
right? So as soon as they understand that there's been child pornography uploaded to their thing, and they immediately remove it, they're within it. They're within. They're not going to get in trouble or anything. Same thing goes within copyright. So if let's say that you have a website, your boy Zach is a good guy.com, and you have a forum there. And I go, I want to reshare this post from the Wall Street Journal. I want to share the entire thing. Well, that's copyrighted material. Now, now, I would not get in trouble for it so long as if someone files a DMCA claim, I have to immediately take it down, whether or not I believe that the content in question is actually infringing on someone's copyright. So someone can just write a post that has no copyrighted material from anything anywhere, just someone just typing their own thing saying Larry's a dumb face, and someone could file a DMCA against that. They would have to immediately take it down, whatever, but there would have to be like a dispute kind of resolution type of thing where you take it down first. That has to be immediate and without question or without anything. Then you can go and review it. Okay, there was no copyrighted content in here. They filed a counterclaim. You guys have each other's information. You guys can deal with it now. But I would believe that it's not or whatever. So that's kind of how the thing works. Now, let's say that YouTube has a video that you uploaded, right? You made this video out of your own content with video that you recorded, and I don't like it because it offends me or whatever, and I file a DMCA against you. Well, first, YouTube has to automatically take it down no matter what, because that's the law. If they don't take it down, they are in violation of that safe harbor provision. They can have their, basically any kind of previous lawsuit that has ever been filed against them could actually now go to trial. And actually they could win because you no longer have that protection that says that you are protected legally from things that other people uploaded to your server. So anytime anyone uploads something that's copyrighted, you could be YouTube can be personally liable for the things that are uploaded to it. So YouTube follows the law because they have a they would basically pay billions and billions of dollars in fines anytime anything is uploaded to their site from then on. But if I was to file that false DMCA against you, what I'm doing is I'm filing a legal affidavit that's submitted to the closest courthouse to me, and I'm filing a legal affidavit under penalty of perjury that I believe that this person is uploading my content and is infringing upon my copyrighted content. Not for someone else. You can have someone else file for you, but this particular instance, there was this Magdalene Viziago.
Yes.
Okay.
Also known as Mags.
Mags. Is this a fake name or?
No, Mags is the nickname.
Okay.
And Mags is a transgendered person who a lot of the folks in Comicsgate call a man in a wig, and she goes insane whenever that's said about her.
So yeah, if there was no copyrighted material whatsoever, it's like a clear violation, and they could be sued by the person who had their content DMCA'd, and they would have a case. Now, if they had content on there and it falls into fair use, and there's different kind of qualifications of what would count as copyright infringement versus what is fair use. There's things like, is it is it transformative? Meaning, is
like criticism?
Not even that. Just like if I were to take like a video and I were to slice it up and mash it up and mix it around like a YouTube poop, that actually is under law fair use, because it can't be used as a substitute for the original content. Nobody's going to go and watch a YouTube poop of someone's video, like some blogger, because I've made YouTube poops of let's say Stefan Molyneux. I've made YouTube poops of Stefan Molyneux, but nobody's going to go and watch that YouTube poop as a suitable alternative to watching his channel, because that's not the same content.
I would rather watch the YouTube poop than watch Stefan Molyneux.
Any rational person, I think, would as well. The other thing is, like, how much of it did you use? And are you making money off of it? Not every single one of these has to be fulfilled, but they're all factors that have to be brought up in a court of law, and it would be basically under the kind of the view of whatever judge it is. But there are things that are pretty clear cut.
So let's say you had a YouTube channel with 90,000 subscribers.
Yes.
And you had thousands of hours of actual content.
Mm-hmm. Would
it actually be worth your time to use your legal defense fund to sue somebody for a false DMCA claim? In your opinion.
It depends. It depends on what your goals are. So if your goal is to get people to leave you alone, that it could work. It could work as a sort of not the same as a slap suit, but tying people up in the legal system is a good kind of like way to get people to go, okay, I give up, uncle. I'll leave you alone. If your goal is to set some sort of legal precedent, like if you have some extra money and you're like, you know what, fuck this, there needs to be some sort of law so that's clear cut, some legal precedents in the system for other people later on down the line, like kind of what H3H3 did with Matt Hoff. Mm-hmm. Then you have something like that where now people can go back and look at the case law and say, all right, well, there was this case, Matt or Ethan and whatever, Ela Klein v. Matt Hoff, or vice versa. I think it would be vice versa. And they can go back and look at it and say, like, okay, well, this is what this happened. This is a very similar case. You have legal precedents to say this should be what should happen. And more than likely, that should be what happened unless there's some new laws that come into play. Or if your goal is to really teach them a lesson, to say yeah, but if the person that's suing them currently is also wrapped up in another lawsuit, that could drain them financially to get them to stop the other lawsuit as well. And It could also be used in the other case to say this person is not just doing this to me in this particular case, but look at what he's also doing. They can also be proved.
The climate of harassment that led to these things happening.
Yeah, so now you can actually have more evidence to prove that this was not just done because he's a jerk, but he's doing it with malicious intent,
malice.
Yeah. So there's different kind of plays. You probably know more about the legal system than I do. I just know very much more about the DMCA.
Because you've had some experience. So let's go a little deeper on this topic, because somebody else made one of these comments about suing people.
Hey there, and happy Thanksgiving to everyone. I hope that you had a great holiday, and I hope that Black Friday does not wear you out too much. What's funny about that is I actually started checking out Black Friday tonight. I actually went to Walmart, went through one of the opening, because I wanted to see all of the people going and feeding on consumerism. I find that intriguing. I don't really want to buy anything there. I just want to watch people go to the trough and feed.
So, Moose Ballman is another one of these comic book people who you've never heard of before, but is a crybaby on Twitter. Okay. So, just a thought, I know a lot of these jagoffs pull others' tweets and photos from Twitter to use in their videos. That Umbrella guy, whose video we played the intro here for a little bit on, has a few vids where he does nothing but recite my tweets. I'm looking into it, but as far as I can tell, this is also infringement. No, it's not copyright infringement. Because you're posting something on Twitter in order to have a transformative media experience. Because it's replied to, people comment on it, people quote it. So, you think that's the goal of all of these minor league people who are working for billion-dollar media mega corporations that are trying to fight off all criticism by shutting people down with lawsuits with their little henchmen?
Are you? I'm sorry. Were you asking about?
I was asking for your opinion about what you think the end goal for these people is. These Minecraft mobs.
To do anything that they can to stop any sort of. I don't know. I think a lot of them feel like they're backed into a corner when it comes to Trump,
Mm-hmm.
and they feel like by any means necessary. In fact, I think one organization that's kind of associated with this anti-Trump kind of movement is by all means necessary. They feel that they were too easy the last go around with these quote unquote Nazis, and now the Nazis have taken over. I'm not saying that this is what I believe, by the way. This is clearly I'm trying to speak for other people in how I view it. I could be wrong.
So we need to have like a Matt and Trey. This is what Minecraft mobs on the internet actually believe.
Yeah, this is what Minecraft mobs actually believe. So 75 million years ago, a galactic overlord named Xenu. Anyways, so they feel that they're backed into a corner, right? And, they were easy going around in 2016. Now they have to say, like, okay, by all means necessary, we have to stop the evil Orange Hitler guy. Bad, Orange Man bad, do anything we can to stop this now. Fix this shit now, right? And so I think that's kind of how they feel. So they're not playing chess. They're thinking in terms of checkers. Just try to get as many pieces off the board as possible right now. Without looking at any kind of long-term strategy, and it's kind of biting them in their own ass. But
so we're going to move into some TV reviews, and we're going to talk about the latest.
I thought we were going to ask whether or not tweets can be copyrighted.
Oh, can tweets be copyrighted? I thought we kind of talked about that.
Well, we didn't talk about tweets. We talked about YouTube. Because when it comes to posting on things like Facebook and Twitter, that's where you get into some really kind of weird legal kind of territory because it's such a new realm of content. The answer is, I guess it depends. So there's
on the child.
It depends on the child, right? It depends on the tweet. So if you're talking about, so there's a comedian that I absolutely love named Stephen Wright. If you haven't seen his stand-up, go watch it. After this is over, go watch it. It's phenomenal. But he has like all of his kind of jokes are like tweets almost. They're really one sentence or one or two sentences long, kind of to the punchline, kind of like Zach Galifianakis kind of thing.
Right.
In fact, Zach Galifianakis is really inspired by Stephen Wright. But Stephen Wright is king for sure. Now, Stephen Wright, you would expect him to tweet that kind of stuff on Twitter. He doesn't. What he does do is he's been using Twitter to write a story. And he's been writing a story forever. Now, if you were to take all of those tweets and line them up in order and try to publish them, you could be sued for copyright violation because he is actually creating copyrighted material. But if you're just showing someone on Twitter, like a picture of a tweet or something like that, and you're saying like, look at this moron. Look at what he's saying. Let me explain why this is wrong. Or look at, he doesn't even have to be coherent, right? Someone could make a salient point and you can be like, yeah, but you're a Jew. Like you can, any kind of criticism whatsoever would be fine. They would actually be kind of used as fair use.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's why that's not something that's covered. So Doctor Who. Is kind of slowly drifting down. Lost about 5 million views since its first episode. This episode was all about Space Amazon.
And this is the female Doctor Who?
Female Doctor Who.
Okay.
So she gets a delivery from Space Amazon, and I would call this a spoiler warning, but it's not going to spoil anything.
Okay. I
just
wanted to make sure because I posted a picture, and I wanted to make sure that this is representative.
That is the correct picture.
Okay, thank you. I did something right.
So Doctor Who got a fez, which is a callback to A Better Time in Doctor Who when Matt Smith told everybody fezzes were cool. Having worn a fez, they're not actually that cool. It's what you do in the Fez that makes it a cool experience. And got a card in the packing slip that said help. So if you got a packing slip from Amazon that said help, would you go to the nearest Amazon factory and go, hey, what's going on? I need to sneak in here and pretend to be an employee to try to find out what sort of sinister shenanigans is going on here?
No.
Well, you're not a protagonist on a TV show.
Oh.
Because that's what you would do if you were a protagonist on a TV show.
It's very unreal. If someone got most people, even PT people who would qualify as TV-able people, would get an Amazon slip like that, they'd probably be like, maybe we should call the police.
Yeah.
Or maybe we should at least call the office and see what's going on.
So they have a couple weird narratives that they're focusing in here. They're talking about the 10% of the employees who work at Space Amazon, but they're all supervised by the 90% of employees that are robots. Except for 2 managers, who manage both the robots and the people. Which doesn't make any sense. Which is part of the recurring things that are happening here. So, Doctor Who and her companions get jobs working in Amazon. The black young man, his character actually works at some British equivalent to Amazon back in the UK. And so he already learned how to do all that, and he has a rare disorder called dyspraxia, which gives him problems with learning things that involve coordination and stuff. And the actor who plays the character, he's actually on the national board for the charity for dyspraxia in the UK. So he actually brought this into the show, which was kind of interesting.
Okay.
And it's actually giving exposure to it. It makes it hard for people to do single-step motor tasks. Makes it hard for people to perform a sequence of movements. Makes it difficult to coordinate muscle movements needed to pronounce words sometimes. And makes it harder to understand spatial relationships.
So basically, everybody who mumbles and gets into your personal space.
Well, that's one sign, yes.
Okay.
So that's kind of an interesting thing. So he actually had to go through specialized training to be able to learn how to be a factory Amazon employee. And it turns out that the helpful, friendly robots are murdering people. So, helpful, friendly robots at Amazon are murdering people. So obviously this is about how automation is bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
You think that's going to be the moral of the story, right?
Yeah, of course.
So they befriend, the janitor and one of the other coworkers, and they start learning more things going around, and they do some basic industrial espionage. And they find out that the message didn't come from any of the people, it came from the computer. The computer itself was realizing that people were being killed and was a problem. So the automation was trying to help. And it turns out that the janitor is actually a terrorist who wanted to make the company less than 10%, wanted to make the company more than 10% human. He wanted to make it 20, and then 30, and then 40% human. But you think, okay, so it's really all about, how not enough people have jobs and we need to get full employment, right?
Yeah, the Luddite.
Nope.
Yeah.
That's not the moral of the story either. The moral of the story ended up being, sure, yeah, you can be a terrorist, but terrorism's bad. And it's bad. So you shouldn't be a terrorist, Mr. Industrial Terrorist, working for a union. You should just let things happen and try to work through the system. And so I've activated all the robots that you set up to blow up everybody, to blow up right here. But I'll save you if you come up here to where I'm standing at so you won't be blown up. He's like, wait, what? And then he explodes. This is part of the problem that we've been having with Doctor Who, with really inconsistent, really unfocused writing.
Okay, so do you blame her now for wanting to leave the show and take care of her kids?
Wait. You actually stepped on the lead for the next video.
Oh.
So let me prime that next video up here.
Thanks, Chibnall and Whitaker. If rumors are to be believed, then it looks like you two came in, took a massive dump on a 55-year-old franchise, and are now saying to yourselves, our work here is done. An explosion goes off in the background, and flaming pieces of shit spew out in all directions while you two walk away wringing your hands in the foreground. And we get the honor of having a funeral for our once favored TV show. Great work, guys. Thanks for coming. Disclaimer. This news is just in rumor territory at the moment, but we're going to take a look at it anyway. Doctor Who TV reported a few days ago that these two wonderful people may be leaving after the almost guaranteed dumpster fire that will be the 12th series of Doctor Who. The information that the website is reporting on apparently came from Starburst magazine. We learned that Series 12 has already gone into pre-production, which I'm guessing means that they're looking at which NPC morale details they want to focus on next time. Apparently, Series 12 will air in 2019 and not in 2020 as originally suspected. I'm excited, aren't you? Starburst stated, the BBC was happy to go on record about the program's short-term future. There had been a lot of chatter about Jodie Whittaker's second run in Series 12 being planned for a broadcast in the spring of 2020, rather than in the autumn of 2019 as everyone had originally assumed. This is not true. We were told that Series 12 went into production this week and will definitely be broadcast next year as part of the autumn 2019 TV schedule. The second part of the rumor is what many people would consider to be good news. New showrunner Chris Chibnall hasn't been happy behind the scenes and is set to quit after Series 12. We can only speculate as to his possible reasons, if indeed the story is true, but Chibnall told us quite firmly in January 2013 that he didn't want the showrunner job, and it's possible after the success of Broadchurch that the BBC pursued him against his better wishes, or simply that he changed his mind. Chibnall, if you didn't want the job, then why the hell did you take it? I would venture a guess that around 2015, when the BBC went so far left that it fell off a cliff, Chibnall saw this as the perfect opportunity to virtue signal his wokeness. As for behind the scenes, I'm wondering if some people may be concerned about the long-term ramifications of alienating Doctor Who's most loyal fans. Those of us that have been around for a long time before the show went woke. Or in my case, all the way back to the Tom Baker era. Maybe some were looking at the aftermath of The Last Jedi and it occurred to them that the same thing could happen to Doctor Who. Wait, who am I kidding? The current higher-ups at the BBC couldn't care less about the long-term viability of this franchise. The BBC only exists now to highlight how straight white males are the scum of the earth. Classic Who represents the patriarchy, and they're destroying the show as revenge. The article continues. Either way, if there is any truth to this rumor, then it's also been said that Jodie Whittaker would not want to continue on as the Doctor without Chibnall at the helm, and would leave at the same time as he did. Well, Whittaker, considering any competent showrunner...
So, we had all this controversy about the first female Doctor Who. And as Jim stepped in the lead there, she's saying, well, you know, I got a 3-year-old kid, and I can't really spend a whole year filming, you know, and stuff, and that's hard on my family. Well, why'd you take the job?
Yeah.
It's not even like she was the only woman in consideration for the casting. But she worked with Chris Chibnall before, who is complaining about the scheduling. But for people in Hollywood and television and movie production, complaints about the scheduling is generally a negotiation tactic. And something that came out before this current season started is the BBC released a massive set of surveys to people who were diehard British Doctor Who fans, asking them a lot of deep, detailed questions about what they wanted to do with the show, where they wanted the show to go. And this show kind of feels like a soft reboot. So it feels like they're going to spend a year or two just with a placeholder, and then they're going to say, okay, this is what you guys want, so we're going to make the show you want. But isn't that a weird time to have the first female Doctor? I mean, doesn't that make it seem like that they decided to use the controversy to put up ratings on a dumpster fire placeholder season?
Yeah, you would think you would want to make sure that all your ducks are in a row to make sure that this is going to be, all right, we're going to have a female Doctor Who. This is going to be like revolutionary, right? Maybe we should make sure that we have all of our ducks in a row to make it a little bit better than everything that we've done before, or at least try to make it better than everything that we've done before. So that way, there would not be a case going forward for someone saying, oh, I didn't like it because it's terrible, when you could just brush it off as, oh, that's just misogyny or whatever. But now you really don't have a case, because it's like, okay, the season's short, the lead actress doesn't even want to be involved with it. Maybe there's something to this criticism.
Yeah, and this is a very weird rumor, but the BBC makes weird decisions with TV shows because they're not paid by advertisers; they're paid by the license fees that if you live in the UK, you're supposed to pay for the privilege of watching television.
Right. There's a tax for everything, or you need a license for everything, right? Oh, you got a deep fryer. I hope you got a license for that.
Do you have you complaining about your license? So now we're going to get into the nitty gritty of some things. So I saw 2 movies that are popular with the whole, strike zone we're trying to build a show for here.
Yeah. And, by the way, I might as well throw in a review for something in the middle of this. So you go ahead and do one, I'll do the other. Because mine's going to be really short because we already kind of talked about it. So.
Okay. So we're going to start with Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald, and I'm going to wet everybody's palate with the trailer.
Oh, boy.
An address.
What's that?
A safe house in Paris.
Why would I need a safe house in Paris?
Should things at some point go terribly wrong, it's good to have a place to go. For a cup of tea.
My brothers, my sisters, the clock is ticking faster. My dream, we who live for truth, for love. The moment has come to take our rightful place in the world where we wizards were free. Join me or die.
The wizarding and non-wizarding worlds have been at peace for over a century. Grindelwald wants to see that peace destroyed.
You want me to hunt him down? To kill him? Dumbledore, why can't you go?
I cannot move against Grindelwald. It has to be you.
You don't suffer from motion sickness, do you?
I don't do well on boats.
You'll be fine.
Do you know why I admire you, Newt? You do not seek power. You simply ask, is the thing right? The time's coming when you're gonna have to pick a side.
No, I don't do sides.
What are you gonna do?
I think it's something.
Newt, you never met a monster you couldn't love.
Let's take him.
So, this movie is in no way, shape, or form as adventurous as that trailer would lead you to
I was going to
believe.
say, it looks pretty freaking epic. I didn't know Stephen Hawking did all that stuff. Is that what happened to him? Took all the magic out of him?
No.
Oh.
So the first
He's literally a wizard.
Yeah. The first Fantastic Beast was about, Newt Scamander goes to America to deliver an animal, a magic animal, to its natural habitat, but then ends up with shenanigans involving Grindelwald and a person who is born with suppressed magical abilities that he comes out and he becomes like basically a magical atomic bomb. We'll get to that in a bit later. And that kid explodes in the first movie. And we see everybody's favorite bad boy. God, I'm trying to remember his name. He was the guy who played Bullseye in Daredevil. Colin Farrell.
Yeah.
Turns out to secretly be Johnny Depp transformed, and he gets imprisoned. And this movie takes place 6 years later.
That's a really odd reference to point out that guy's career. Just fucking Daredevil.
Hey, man.
Did you ever see Phone Booth? No, fuck it. Daredevil. I think everybody's seen that piece of shit.
I mean, that was
we
the first
really got to work on your references here, buddy.
Hey man, come on! That had like Jennifer Garner and Ben Affleck in it when they were both like starting to date each other.
Yeah.
Even though that wouldn't have worked out, it was memorable.
Again, that movie was made out of pure regret.
It was. So, so Grindelwald is pre-Wizard Hitler. So Voldemort from Harry Potter was Wizard Hitler, but J.K. Rowling decided because she needed more money. Well, there was actually a generation before him, another Wizard Hitler. We're not going to actually talk about how two Wizard Hitlers back to back doesn't make any sense for the world, or how people should say, "Hey, wait a minute, wasn't this just like what the last Wizard Hitler did?" Maybe that should be a problem, but no, there's two Wizard Hitlers now, and what J.K. Rowling on Twitter said is that Wizard Hitler and Dumbledore were gay for each other. They were super gay for each other. But in this movie, no spoiler, they're not gay at all. They're not even remotely gay for each other. They're just best friends who were blood brothers, and they have a magical bond because they're blood brother bond, so they can't fight each other.
What a twist.
So Dumbledore has to manipulate people into fighting him for him. But he's in prison in America. So the British come to America and say, hey, we need to take him back to the UK to be put in our wizard jail. And for some reason, people think this is a good idea. Hey, we have Wizard Hitler in our prison. Maybe we should just leave him here. Because, wizards in jailbreaks, that could be dangerous.
Yeah. Didn't you ever see Halloween?
Yeah. And so he gets on that fancy little stagecoach with all the ghost horse things with wings, and turns out, spoilers, he's actually shape-changed somebody else to look like him, and he gets on that thing and flies away. So he's like, oh great, he escapes like a smart person. No. He's actually hijacked the thing that's taking the fake him to prison, kills everybody on it, and takes it over. It's like the flight scene in The Dark Knight Rises, but even stupider.
Hey, I'm going to have to warn you. This is your first warning. Do not insult the plane scene from The Dark Knight Rises.
No, it's genius, but it's not a logical story. It doesn't make sense. Because why would you shoot a man before throwing him out of a plane?
At least you can talk.
And so you think, okay, great, we're going to see evil Wizard Hitler set events into motion, but no. We then flash to Newt Scamander, who's about to go in front of a bureaucratic board of wizards, controlling wizards in the UK, saying, sorry, you're still on travel ban. We won't let you go out unless you join our secret wizard Gestapo against Wizard Hitler. And we need you to find this kid MacGuffin, because Wizard Hitler thinks he's important for some reason. And we know you can help us with Wizard MacGuffin. And Newt Scamander's like, wait, I'm a zoologist. I just want to go see animals. What are you talking about? To believe any of that. Last movie, he used an animal to capture Wizard Hitler. That was the interesting thing he did that would make you think, oh, this is kind of cool. And there's a subplot with his brother and his brother's new wife who causes... I think he's getting married to his brother's fiance, so she's mad at him because, of course she is. She doesn't talk to him like a normal human being. Why would she? Because then we wouldn't have a movie. And he goes to his fancy wizard pad, and then we get a good moment in the movie. We see all of his weird magical creatures and their little habitats and his little wizard zoo that he has magically constructed underneath his building. Could we go on an adventure with cool magical animals? No, we're not going to have that. We're not going to have it. Then we meet one of the first problems that is racist and horrible in the movie. We meet the character of Queenie, who's a Jewish witch, who's entranced the fat American, who's her fiance, who she loves, who's not able to do magic. And spoiler, not spoiler, she later joins Proto-Wizard Hitler in his Proto-Wizard Nazi party.
And she was a wizard all along.
Well, no, she was a wizard all along, but she was Jewish.
Wow, I saw that coming. I did not see this movie. We didn't see any movies. We didn't coordinate any movies this time around. So
exactly. And
even though
we were supposed to.
Yeah.
She joins Wizard Hitler because Wizard Hitler tells her, no, I'm totally cool with you wanting to be with like a normal mortal human. But they have a relationship fight because he called her crazy one time. Because, she actually mind controlled him into deciding to get married to her and go to London. Against his will. Because he thought, hey, maybe it's dangerous for me to marry you when it's against the law for me to marry you. Because again, why have people make reasonable decisions? Then we see Johnny Depp kill some people to take over their house. But he has his minions kill them. And he tells his minions, hey, we don't tell the normies that we're going to kill them all. We just tell them that, there needs to be a new order of things. But whenever we're out in public, we talk about freedom, equality, living the life you're supposed to lead. Which is why the movie wants him to be Wizard Hitler, but really he's Wizard Richard Spencer. Who's trying to create a wizard ethno-nationalist state for the greater good.
So what you're really saying is, does this happen? Does he drag his pregnant wife down the stairs and tell her, like, hey, it's time to watch James Bond now?
No, he doesn't have a wife.
Oh, okay.
Which is kind of, because, again, remember, he's gay for the character that should be the protagonist of this movie.
His gay husband, then?
Well, no, they can't be together because
pregnant gay husband dragging him down the stairs. It's time to watch James Bond.
And this is all in the 20s, so James Bond hasn't even happened yet.
Okay, that's not even, the books aren't even out yet. I don't think.
No, it's not. So they're all looking for this kid Creed, who's the mystery MacGuffin kid, and he's hooked up with Nagini, this Asian lady from Malaysia. Who's got a curse to be a snake, so of course she's in a circus for wizard people to gawk and laugh at. Which is the second uncomfortable racist thing that's in this movie. It's basically a, hey, look at that foreigner, she looks different zoo. That they actually had in Europe in the 19th and 20th century. And so Creed is looking to find his real mommy. Spoiler, he doesn't. And then Newt decides, I'm going to break the law and go to Paris because the girl I'm interested in is investigating this crime in Paris. And if I do that, then I could go talk to her again and clear up this misunderstanding, which we could have cleared up, in the last couple of years by having a conversation. But fuck it, then we wouldn't have a movie. So then there's all sorts of plotting. There's a black guy who's trying to kill the kid for reasons that are stupid that I want to save for the end of the description of this movie. And then the bad guy schemes to talk to the kid. And schemes to talk to the kid. He talks to the kid, and then he drops black velvet curtains all over Paris.
Huh?
He uses magic to drop black velvet curtains all over Paris.
What a shitty waste of power.
To let people know that he's going to do a cool speech in a cemetery.
By minorly inconveniencing them with random pieces of velvet.
Yeah. And so then there's a whole thing where they try to find the secret of who Creed's parents are before the bad guy does, but the bad guy already knows it. And then everybody converges on the cemetery, and then the black guy tells the story of how my mom and dad were like two black wizard people. But then this white wizard came, and he totally made my mom leave my dad so he could have rape babies with her. And marry her because he used the power of his magic to take over her mind. So that's another unfortunate thing that happens in this movie. And that's the fiancé of the main character's brother. And he says, yeah, and so he didn't love her, but he actually loved her baby brother. So my dad made me swear an unbreakable magical oath that I had to kill him. And she's like, no. Creed's not my brother. I accidentally dropped him in. I actually switched him with another baby and dropped that baby into the ocean. So Creed's actually somebody else's baby. And then Johnny Depp gives a speech where he tells the assembled wizards, listen, if we don't take over from the humans for their own good, then this little thing called World War II will happen, and all of Europe will get fucked up, and they'll round up Jews and kill them, and there'll be this thing called the atomic bomb in Japan. So we need to take over for our own good. At which point, the wizard police start coming in and violently disrupting the peaceful public gathering. That's what happens. The Nazis have a peaceful public gathering, and the police attack the Nazis' followers. Police and proto-wizard Hitler, who then starts violently attacking the police.
So basically,
now, when there are witnesses
Charlottesville.
around who could see that, he's actually attacking the police. No, he only is evil when nobody's looking.
Oh. So, but basically, Wizard Charlottesville then, right?
And then the Jewish lady decides to join him because her boyfriend and she could be together, but her boyfriend's like saying, no, this is fucking crazy. What the hell are you doing? This is stupid.
But did she consent to the rape, just like real life?
And then there's a giant blue flame demon that Nicholas Flamel, legendary alchemist, tells all the other wizards how to stop. The black lady who was the rape baby got killed by the demonic fire. Because of course she did. Because why give her a chance to actually redeem her horrible backstory? Instead she dies, causing a weird awkwardness between two brothers, making them think that when she confessed that she always loved them, it was to each other. But actually she loved the other brother. And
it sounds really bad.
Dumbledore's totally... Yeah, it says, oh, Dumbledore's totally your brother. And that little bird you have there is a phoenix. And if you make it a phoenix, it'll prove that you're a Dumbledore. The end.
So I have not seen any of the Harry Potter movies because
of Grindelwald.
Yeah, because this was really out of my age range, but you suffered through it. This is on comparison to those movies. In comparison to those movies versus comparison to the previous, what was it, Fantastic Beasts movies.
Well, the previous Fantastic Beasts movie was at least a little interesting because it introduced us to what Wizarding World is like in New York.
Oh, okay.
That was at least interesting. And they had cool CGI animals. This only had one cool CGI animal.
I mean, the trailer looked like it was CGI heavy.
Yes. But there's only really a couple of scenes, and only one that's really the whole using Fantastic Beasts. And J.K. Rowling wrote this movie. She wants Dumbledore to be the protagonist, but she can't have him be the protagonist. So Jude Law didn't really do anything interesting in this movie, and Johnny Depp just said, we're evil, but we can't tell people we're evil in public. We tell them we support freedom. So, what were you gonna bring to the table?
I was just gonna talk a little bit about a post-apocalyptic, because I talked about what the plot was. So I'm not gonna get too deep into this one. Let me just pull up the thing, and people are adding me, or something. Yeah. So Tenacious D post-apocalyptic. I guess it technically counts for a movie. It's available for free on YouTube. Basically, it's kind of the film version of their new album that they just dropped. So I can basically kind of just topically talk about it, since we already talked about what the plot was. Post-apocalyptics, they're kind of looking around and doing things, and there's lots of sex and
Orange Man bad.
And Orange Man bad, and Nazis bad, and KKK bad, and kind of references to other kind of movies and stuff, and other themes from other shows and post-apocalyptic kind of media, always kind of referencing stuff. But it's pretty clear. Like, there was an instance where they were kind of ripping off the idea of stuff that happens in like Indiana Jones movie, and they were actually going into one of the pyramids to go and take something from inside the pyramid, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna slip through and get it." Like, what's that one movie? Like, what's that movie called? Raiders of the Lost Ark? Yeah, like Raiders. The story is kind of told poorly, but then again, it's something that you would expect from like a Tenacious D show, where it's kind of silly and off the wall and like kind of off-color humor. So if you're looking at it through that kind of Tenacious D Jack Black lens, it works. But had anybody else do it and try to make it like a serious thing, you would have been like, this is the most dumbest thing I've ever seen in the universe. But because they're doing it humorously, they do it, and they even kind of reference it later on in at the very end of it. They're like, "Oh, it's almost kind of like a comedy, like a comedy short film." He's like, "Yeah, but I don't think it was that funny." The music is pretty good. It's Tenacious D. If you like Tenacious D, you'll like the music in it. It's not some of their best work. I think it's like the music is probably a little bit better than like the Rise of the Phoenix, but you know, that's probably the worst of their albums. So I mean, it's not a bad album anyway.
Yeah. They're a good time.
Yeah, I mean, their self-titled album, you're not going to get any better than that. You know, maybe their live they had like a live album that was really good, but like in terms of like their studio albums, you're not going to get any better than their self-titled album. I have that on 180 gram vinyl. It's fucking gorgeous. I love that fucking album. And I don't own anything else because I don't think anything's up to par with me really dying to get it on vinyl. The same way I feel about this one. I'm not dying to get it on vinyl. A friend of mine just told me, like, yeah, I bought it on vinyl. I'm just getting into vinyl, and that's one of the first ones. One of the first ones, not the first one. It was okay. It's definitely worth the viewing. It's free. Everything kind of looks like a slideshow because it's kind of what it is. They drew it themselves, and they look like they didn't have any previous experience in doing so. But because it's silly, Tenacious D stuff, it works. The whole kind of like, well, Trump is literally Hitler and he's going to nuke the world was a bit kind of like off-putting because I'm so tired of that trope because it's in everything now. But yeah,
so
good for what it was.
So the last thing we're going to talk about is Wreck-It Ralph Wrecks the Internet, or Toxic Masculinity, the movie.
Oh, don't tell me it's bad. Oh, we're playing video.
Playing video.
Way to go, kid.
1 second, I'm having the time of my life. The next thing I know, my game is just gone.
Hello, let me tell you what it's like. Sugar Rush is getting unplugged. Oh no, I'm freaking out hard.
If I'm not a racer, what am I?
Oh, you're my best friend. All we gotta do is find the part to fix your game. Everything goes back to the way it was.
But where are we gonna find that?
The internet!
What?
Get my geek on. Wow. Get my geek on.
Get rid of belly fat using this one weird trick.
Sassy housewives want to meet you. They do. Want to get rich playing video games? Slaughter Race. It is wicked dangerous. Oh, yep, I'm out of that code. It was a one, but it was an O. Oh, nice kitty. Nice kitty. Attention to detail is pretty impressive.
Well. Who are you?
I think we should get out of here.
Whoa.
Showtime. Let's race.
Come and get it.
Get back on the track.
There is no track. I can drive anywhere. I love it here.
Who knew there's so many babies and cats in the world?
That is what the internet was made for.
It's full of weirdos. I want this to be my life. I don't think I could ever tell Ralph.
There's no law saying best friends have to have the same dreams.
This is what's called the dark net. Are you sure this is safe? Just whatever you do not look at his little brother. Oh, his little brother? What are you doing here? The reason I came to your neck of the face. I mean, there's a face in your neck. I mean, woods. Neck of the woods.
So you think, wow, this trailer looks good. We're talking about all the fun adventures Wreck-It Ralph and Vanellope can have on the internet, right? That's what this trailer is trying to tell you, but no. So it's all about Vanellope having a midlife crisis, which she's a kid video game avatar, which kind of doesn't make any sense, but whatever. She's tired about being bored with everything in her game. So Ralph, being her friend...
She just got into the game. What are you
Well, no, this is several years later, like 6. And she's already beaten everything. Everything's already been unlocked, so she's bored now. And so Ralph decides to make a track for her, which, unfortunately, the kids playing the game breaks the steering wheel off the game, thus ruining the game, and then everybody's going to be destroyed. So Ralph and Fix-It Felix decide to bring everybody else into their games and spread them out amongst the other video games like as refugees, which was actually kind of cool and interesting. But no, we can't focus on an interesting topic of the movie, no. And also Felix and the basically Halo Space Marine lady decided to take all the other girls from Sugar Rush, except for Vanellope, in as their new children. They adopt them all, and then they become perfect children at the end of the movie. But, of course, Vanellope and Ralph, they go off to the internet to get a thing, because, hijinks. And they go to eBay, and they actually bid their own item up an additional $30,000 or $40,000, which eBay actually doesn't let you do, because that's stupid. But if we actually had a plot device function the way it does in real life, then we wouldn't have a movie.
Of course.
So Ralph and Penelope are assaulted by pop-ups, including a pop-up of how to get rich with video games, which is the second biggest lie right after sassy singles in your area want to meet you. They never do. They don't actually exist.
No.
And so they go into this video game, which is a rough driving video game, to steal a loot drop car for $40,000. That gets them the money they need to get the thing. But for some reason,
hold on. I hate to bring this back, but there were pop-ups? Is that what they were trying to say? Like, there's pop-up ads?
Yes, but the pop-up ads were all people.
Have you
and they're also
ever seen a pop-up ad in the last 3 years?
No, because I know how to not see pop-up ads.
I don't even know if any browser really supports pop-ups anymore.
Yes, they still are supportable. But the pop-up ads are kind of tricky. But yes. So they go into a driving MMO, and Vanellope's enamored with the grit and grime and grossness and the hot cars. And they treat this loot drop like, this isn't just an NPC boss that keeps loot dropping this car. But no. So the NPCs in the game universe act like this is the only one of these cars, so they don't get to actually take the car because, again...
Oh, God, I just got to pop up. This philosophical son of a bitch is salvaging Western civilization, and basically you're not making an argument. How? Just look up universally preferable behavior. I'm going to close this. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
That's quite all right. Okay. So the street gang, though, they're all talking like lefty college students, and they're talking about this really cool TED Talk they saw about game theory. So yeah, that's a bad sign. That was my first really serious warning sign that the movie was going to go into some bad places.
And were you
because
wrong?
I was not wrong. That's not wrong. So the tough racer chick tells Ralph, "Hey, go to essentially BuzzFeed," but they don't have the naming rights for BuzzFeed. But go to BuzzFeed and use that to make memes to make money, because that's how the internet works, right?
Of course, I made many a dollar from memes.
Yeah. So in this BuzzFeed but not BuzzFeed website, it's based on hearts. So if you got like 5 million hearts, that'd be $48.
Okay, so has anybody who was on the writing staff of Ralph Breaks the Internet ever actually been on the internet?
I have serious questions about that, but they did know how to use product placement for the internet.
Okay, but by the way, don't shoot any spoilers because I'm still going to go see this piece of shit.
Well, this isn't spoiling anything.
Okay, I'm just making sure that you're going forward. No spoiling.
Yeah.
So I plan on seeing this tomorrow, hopefully.
Yes. So Ralph does various forms of memes to try to get money to buy the thing. And then Penelope gets employed as a pop-up ad. And she gets sent into Disney because it's safe. Because Ralph is concerned about her being safe. And that's where she meets the Disney princesses who let her know that her entire life is terrible. And she needs to find her own self-actualization and happiness. Which is driving in a racing urban violence MMO.
It sort of looked like he was trying to be Grand Theft Auto a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But Ralph is concerned, and he just wants her to go back to the arcade and everything to be like it is, because, you know, they have a satisfactory life back there. But again, no, that's, you know, not the movie ends up with, hey, I need a virus to infect the internet. Because of course that happens. And but Ralph says, but wait, is this going to be safe? He's like saying, yeah, as long as you keep it into one area. So of course, you know, that's not going to happen. And Wreck-It Ralph becomes the Wreck-It Ralph virus. Because of course, that's how viruses work.
So basically, it almost sounds like you're describing the plot to Hackers, but Hackers 2.0.
But you see,
that was
virus
made in 1999.
Yeah, but the virus is a insecurity exploit, and they talk about how the problems in Ralph and Penelope's relationship are all connected to insecurities. And that the only way to defeat the virus is to get over your insecurities.
You sure it wasn't put them in a phone booth and put the phone booth on a Lazy Susan and have people typing inside the Lazy Susan?
You see, that would have been a better movie.
Okay.
And the movie ends with Penelope being in the dangerous car MMO, and Ralph going back to basically live the exact kind of life he lives, only not enjoying it as much because he doesn't have his friend there. That's the movie. One protagonist is kind of selfish. She just is responsible for the destruction of her own world and leaves for a better world. And her friend who tries to help her along the way is made to be the bad guy.
Okay, but did they hack the Gibson at least?
Yes, they did in fact hack the Gibson.
Shit.
With their feelings.
That's how you know they're really good hackers, if they hack the Gibson.
Exactly, and they hacked it with their feelings.
Oh, wow. Is feelings.exe has like a little feelings avatar eating all the code on the screen?
No.
And
but
you have to feed it facts in order to stop the feelings. That's how you get it. You type in facts, and that's how you defeat the virus.
Facts don't care about your feelings.
Oh.
Okay. Now, I did not see the Frozen 2 teaser at the end of this movie because I really didn't like Frozen 1.
You didn't? I thought it was okay. I thought there was a glaring issue with that movie that no one wanted to ever talk about.
Well, there's several glaring issues. Which one are you thinking of?
The fact that Elsa created life out of nothing, and no one even bothered to go like, "Hey, she just gave life to an inanimate object."
That's one of many serious problems with this movie. Like,
let's not talk about it for the rest of the whole movie. Let's not even point it out when we first see it. Oh, talking snowman, that's a thing.
Yeah. Well, also they didn't point out like, hey, how did the two princesses for this country, whose parents are the royalty who run it, how is it nobody saw them for years? And nobody's really talked about that or how the country's been running without the monarchy.
Yeah.
No, nobody talks about that. Also, hey, I have my sister and she's living behind this door. can I talk to her? Because, our parents died. No, I can't. That's also a normal thing that would happen.
Right.
Or, hey, I have to find my sister because she's gone off crazy with magic snow powers. So, you're in charge of the kingdom now. That's also not how things happen.
Yeah.
So that's another recording in progress in the can, I guess.
I don't know. I thought Frozen was okay. I wasn't trying to think too deep about it because it's a movie for kids, and it really didn't try to explore any kind of major themes.
Except it did.
The music was okay. Whatever.
It was exploring the major themes of loving yourself and loving your family and lesbians. No, I'm serious. Those were themes that the writer...
Incestual lesbianism?
Basically, yeah. And they subverted our expectations that the prince was going to be the love interest. But they subverted those expectations so hard that we never believed the prince was going to be the love interest in the first place. So it didn't actually subvert expectations. It actually fulfilled expectations, which made it a really shitty spoiler in the movie.
Yeah. It was okay. It's not something I would ever buy on Blu-ray.
Yeah. But another thing about Wreck-It Ralph Breaks the Internet and the Emoji Movie, I think
it seems as though you were talking about the same movie.
They're very similar.
I have
very
actually
similar.
had the misfortune of seeing the Emoji Movie, which,
I
by
have
the way,
seen that as well.
is one of the best films ever made. In fact, it is the best film ever made. I don't know if you ever saw the Jax Films or things about it. Have you seen this?
I have.
Okay. Where he trolled his way to the premiere, the Emoji Movie.
Mm-hmm. But my big thing with this is that I think there's a good idea about the internet as this fantastical, magical realm we can all go to as a movie setting. But I don't think anybody knows what to actually do with it other than product placement and crap, we need a conflict to resolve at the end of the movie, so let's make it a virus.
Right.
So I think we need to not use the internet as our fantastical, magical realm until we come up with different things to do with it.
Yeah. Well, I think the whole premise for Wreck-It Ralph is a little outdated. An arcade?
There are hipster arcades out there. Like, there's one by my movie theater at the big mall.
Yeah, there is a giant, pretty sizable arcade inside Circus that I drag people to occasionally if it's still open. But every time I go there, it's empty. But I remember growing up and going to that same arcade when I was a little kid, and it was always.
I remember how
packed.
arcades were full of sweaty teenagers.
Yeah.
But
now it's full of sweaty 30-year-old man children taking their friends who are visiting Las Vegas.
Yeah.
To play Street Fighter versus SNK. Marvel versus Capcom.
Oh, also,
what am I doing with my life?
There's a fun little joke where Fix-It Felix and his wife are telling the Surge Protector, "Oh yeah, we were able to totally raise these 16 kids perfectly great." And every time they tried to say something, there was car noises that blocked out how they were perfect parents.
Okay.
And the Disney princesses were in the movie for 10 minutes, but they objectively made the movie worse.
Wow. That's a feat.
And they also simultaneously were Disney shitting on one of their biggest and most iconic properties, the Disney princesses.
So, are you saying that people should steer clear of this? Would you say that it's a bad movie, or it's not definitely not on par with the Emoji Movie? Because that's a whole other level of garbage.
That's a whole other level of garbage. Because you see, the Emoji Movie is bad in a way that's interesting.
I don't even think
like you have to look at it. You have to look at it and say, "How did this happen? This is just mediocre." This is like a C- effort by the scriptwriters, the directors. Pretty much everybody involved in making the movie.
Did you like the first one? The first Wreck-It Ralph?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was one of my favorites. It's one of my favorite
Wreck-It Ralph.
It's one of my favorite
the first Wreck-It
Pixar
Ralph
films. Yeah.
Yeah, the first Wreck-It Ralph has a compelling story. Ralph wants to become more than he is, and he does. And, he finds that the real better part of himself is the friends he made along the way.
Yeah.
So that's a fine story.
Did you cry when he smashed her car?
No. But, this movie, it's like, hey, this character that looks like a teenager is having a midlife crisis. It's maybe an allegory about college. Like, kids going off to college and not being friends anymore. Maybe. That's what they're going for. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe it's about codependency.
Well, it is Sarah Silverman.
It is Sarah Silverman, and she is very codependent. Yeah. She should have stuck with that Jimmy Kimmel train.
Oh, boy.
They were both at a better place in their career when they were together.
So you're saying that the movie, the first one, was about like a B plus?
B plus to A minus. It was a solid Pixar production.
The sequels, you said C plus?
No, sequel is a solid C minus effort.
Oh, C minus. So it's borderline D.
Yeah.
It's like almost See Me After Class.
Yeah.
Almost
Disney see us after class about this movie. It's not very good. Also, Warner Brothers see us after class about Fantastic Beasts. Look, J.K. Rowling has more money than the Queen. We get it. But we need to tell her not to write these movies.
And the Emoji Movie is, you're going to have to repeat the 5th grade.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Exactly.
Okay. All right. So, another one in the can.
We might, because there's like a special Animu sneak preview at one of my theaters. I'm going to determine if I want to go do that on next Thursday. We might do another Friday show. We might see if Friday works better. We might do some experimentation.
Yeah, but we'll try. We'll try for tomorrow with Friday, or you want to try, or we could try both. See how that works. This is going to be a bad week no matter what, because everybody's on vacation and visiting family, and Cyber Fridays or Cyber Friday, Black Friday and Cyber Monday is a thing happening right now. So
yeah.
So
we're gonna be experimental a little bit, and also for Jim's other podcast doobly doo, we're working on a radio play.
Yeah.
For the podcast, it's a bit of a niche affair, but if you like Jim, definitely like that.
If you like niche libertarian drama, it's going to be an interesting kind of show, and it's not going to have any fur flag get trees in it. It's not going to have any of that stuff in it.
All right,
but it's going to have lots of juicy libertarian
hot goss.
And I'm using the term drama not in terms of it's just bullshit. Look at what these people are doing. It's going to be like an actual drama.
Yeah,
it's a genre of entertainment.
And this will be I think. Have you ever done like a radio play kind of idea before?
Yes. The Freedom Fiends actually did a holiday special once.
Oh.
And we did some songs. We did some kind of plays. Yeah. Of course, I did my True Bane post. Should we end the video on my True Bane post? Just wrap it up with the True Bane.
Yeah. Can you drag that up?
Oh, you want to play it? Okay.
I mean, yeah, let's play it to take us out.
There we go. Make sure that I'm loading it, Mr. I will give you the link, and you can play it in your player so that you can watch along.
All right, give me a second here.
Hey! I bought you a brand new thing to scratch. What are you doing? All right, we'll try that. It's in show prep. There you go. I'm gonna
show prep. Okay.
Give it over to video. So yeah, this is a good example of one of the times that I've actually did some sort of
niche radio thing.
Yeah, well, this is sort of visual as well. But I actually had someone else help me with it too. It was Michael W. Dean makes an appearance in this as well.
Give me a second here. The copy and paste is having a boomer moment.
Yeah, there we go.
All right, here we go. Now the video's ready.
Yeah. Mr. Cantwell, I'm MMD.
He wasn't alone.
You don't get to bring friends.
Hey, they ain't my fucking friends, you asshole.
Don't worry, no waiting lines for them.
Why would I want them on the show?
They were trying to stop your donations. They work for the Critic, the Doge channel.
Jeeps. Get them in the call. I'll Skype Steph. The call plan I just emailed to Steph lists me, our fans, Mr. Cantwell here, but only one of you. The first one to talk is to stay on my call-in show. Who paid you to discredit Steph? He didn't debate so well. Who wants to try next? Tell me about Sheebs. Why does she use the Doge? A lot of loyalty for a YouTuber.
Or perhaps he's wondering why someone would offer him to debate when they weren't going to let them on their show.
At least you can talk. Who are you?
It doesn't matter who we are. What matters is our critiques. No one cared who I was until I talked in Comic Sans.
If I DMCA you, will you die?
It would be 3 hypocritical.
You're a stand-up guy.
5 you.
Was getting caught part of your plan?
Of course. Cantwell refused our offer in favor of yours. We had to find out what he told you.
I didn't fucking say shit. I was just calling about the Lucy's, alright?
Well, congratulations. You're on next. What's the next step of your master plan?
Suing your corporation. With no settlements.
I believe I can fly.